everyone, I'm Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Epic Games has been fined over $500 million for their, quote, unfair microtransactions, plus a multiplayer Horizon game has been confirmed to be in development. In the entertainment world, Henry Cavill has joined the team working on the Warhammer 40K Adaptation, and Superman and Wonder Woman have been reportedly cut from the upcoming Flash movie. I hope you're ready for a ton of news from me because it's Stella time. We have some serious news for you today regarding Fortnite creators Epic Games. Bear with me since this has a lot of specific language in this major legal affair. The Federal Trade Commission filed a federal court order by the Department of Justice in which Epic Games will have to pay $275 million as a penalty for violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA rule. This is the largest penalty ever in violating an FTC rule. Epic will also have to adopt strong privacy default settings for children and teens under the age of 13, which means that voice and text communications will be turned off by default. Epic will also have to pay $245 million to refund customers for its, quote, dark patterns and billing practices, which is another record-breaking FTC rule in its gaming and administrative order. That's over $500 million in penalties and refunds that Epic may have to cough up. In the complaint filed in federal court, the FTC alleged that, quote, Epic violated the COPPA rule by collecting personal data from children under 13 who are playing Fortnite without notifying their parents or getting their consent. Parents who did try to get their children's personal information deleted had to jump through unreasonable hoops and oftentimes did not get their information deleted. In terms of the dark patterns used to trick children into purchasing items in Fortnite without parental involvement, the FTC alleged that Epic would lock the accounts of customers who tried to get their unauthorized charges disputed. The locked accounts would lose access to all the content purchased, and when Epic agreed to unlock some accounts, the holders were warned that they would be banned for life if they disputed any more charges. The commission voted 4-0 to issue the complaint against Epic, and the FTC will be publishing a description of the consent agreement package in the Federal Register soon, but we won't see it until 30 days after its internal publication. So we'll be sure to keep an eye on the site as it updates in the near future. In more positive news, CD Projekt Red has released a hotfix for the PC version of The Witcher 3. To be fair, this was to repair the issues generated from the launch of the 4.0 next-gen update, but a speedy fix is always nice to see. The patch notes on The Witcher's Steam page state that the fix should improve overall stability and performance, and that they're still working on improving the experience on all platforms. CD Projekt Red Global Community Manager Marcin Mama tweeted out the hotfix and how much each update size's download would be, and Steam's download is 3 GB and GOG is only 1.9. Hopefully this brings a lot of fixes to the game, since there's a lot to explore in The Witcher 3's next-gen update, including an upgraded combat system, brand new mission, armor sets based on other Witcher content, and even a new Easter egg that relates to a Cyberpunk 2077 secret that players haven't been able to solve yet. CD Projekt Red's guest director, Pavel Sasko, confirmed there is an actual solution to the mystery, so get in there and be the first to figure it out. Valve's original Steam controller released in 2015, but was discontinued only 4 years after it launched. But after the way the Steam Deck was a success, Valve is considering reviving the controller in the near future. Steam Deck designers Lawrence Yang and Pierre-Louis Giffray told The Verge in an interview that the Valve team is hoping to make a second Steam controller, and that, quote, we want to make it happen, it's just a question of how and when. But Yang continued by stating that the focus is on the Steam Deck and that the controller would most likely be explored later in the future and either worked on by their own team or work with a third party. The original Steam controller review by us was a 5.9 out of 10 back in 2015, but the Steam Deck earned a 7 in our review, so they're only improving their hardware. Guerrilla Games has announced through a job advertisement post on Twitter that a multiplayer game set in the Horizon universe is in development. On the post on Twitter, Guerrilla released a list of job openings for the new internal team that's in charge of developing the separate online project. The post also stated, featuring a new cast of characters and a unique stylized look, friends will be able to explore the majestic wilds of Horizon together. One of the job listings does have a narrative designer to, quote, tell a deep, complex story. So this doesn't seem like your basic match-based multiplayer game like Call of Duty or the dreaded battle royalification of a game. There's also a position open for a game writer to pitch compelling ideas for quests, factions, and backstories, so we may be able to see this online game have similar narrative elements to the ones in the mainline games. Speaking of the main Horizon games, Guerrilla did state in the Twitter post that they are continuing to create epic solo adventures for Aloy. So we are most likely getting a third Horizon game. But for now, we'll just have to wait for the DLC for Forbidden West, Burning Shores to drop before anything else. Apparently everything is happening through Twitter posts. John Haidt, SVP and General Manager of the Warcraft franchise, tweeted that Chris Metzen has joined the Warcraft leadership team as creative advisor. If Metzen sounds unfamiliar to you, he was one of the original team members working on the Warcraft universe back when it began in 1994. Metzen left Blizzard in 2016 after nearly 23 years. He was also the lead and writer of Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, creator of Overwatch's Soldier 76, and even voiced Thrall. Yes, that orc in Warcraft. When Metzen left Blizzard, he set up his own tabletop gaming company called Warchief Gaming in 2020, which actually just launched its first project, Ouroboros Coils of the Serpent, last year. Metzen coming back to Blizzard as a creative advisor most likely means he'll be helping the World of Warcraft team, but also expand to help other projects in the franchise. We're excited to see what he does. With the yearly tradition of sharing PlayStation Christmas cards made by its collection of studios, we found out that Bluepoint devs helped with God of War Ragnarok. In the holiday card from Bluepoint Games, the card has the text "Happy Holidays from Bluepoint Games" and shows images of a Demon Souls shield, Kratos' axe, and the ancient sword from Shadow of the Colossus. There's one fourth present in the background that hasn't been opened and could contain a weapon, or it could just be an artist's detail in creating more presents underneath a Christmas tree. But it would be really cool to think that maybe, just maybe, Bluepoint could help remake the old God of War games. Just wishful thinking, but what do you think is in the box?
What's in the box?
Hideo Kojima's studio, Kojima Productions, just celebrated its 7th anniversary this month. The studio moved to a larger office in the same building, and Kojima compared his previous office to Star Trek's USS Enterprise, and that concept has been carried over to this new space as well. This studio also houses a 1:1 scale Luden statue in this immaculate white room. In an interview with IGN Japan, Kojima explained how they went from borrowing a small room as a temporary office to renting a space in that building just before Death Stranding's teaser release. Kojima went on to say that even though he didn't have money or equipment at the start, he looked for solutions on his own and compared the early days of Kojima Productions to the process of making an independent movie. Kojima said, quote, "It was the same when I first entered the games industry. When making the effect in Metal Gear Solid 2 where bird poop falls onto the lens, I went to the parking lot, took lots of pictures of pigeon droppings, and used them as reference." He also attributed his ability to start from scratch thanks to his time at Konami, though he expressed how he doesn't want his company to expand into publishing, and that Kojima Productions is an indie studio that focuses on creating things. Kojima also said that he'll keep leading the studio as long as he's around, but also, quote, "You know, I'll probably become an AI and stick around. You need to be stimulated in lots of different ways if you want to keep creating new things, so I imagine I'll keep collaborating with others and taking in new things even if I'm an AI." That sounds a little terrifying, but also ingenious in keeping Kojima's creativity preserved for the future. Are you excited for Death Stranding 2? Let us know! Moving from an indie studio to a major player in the gaming industry, the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition got some support from an unlikely source. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA, invited the public to share their thoughts on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. The CMA revealed it received over 2,100 emails, and that, quote, around 3/4 were broadly in favor of the merger and around 1/4 were broadly against the merger. So that's 75% of UK public comments supporting the acquisition. Among the responses the CMA received included views like Sony and Nintendo are stronger than Microsoft in console gaming, and the merger will help Microsoft compete more closely against them. Another view stated Microsoft is already dominant in PC operating systems, and this merger is an attempt to gain a similar position in gaming. The CMA is continuing to gather evidence and publish findings before a final report is given, which is still months away. So stay tuned to IGN for more as this major story develops. Speaking of Microsoft, the Xbox UK Twitter account tweeted out adorable photos today, not of a cute pet wearing winter gear, but of their controller. In the post, Xbox showed off their new Xbox controller winter hat and booties made specifically to go around the controller. This closely follows their controller jacket they showed off not too long ago that I got super excited for but then realized it's not for people. This is super cute and all, and probably helps your controller not get dusty when you're not using it, but please, Xbox, I'm begging you, please, 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 just make these products for humans so I can wear them, because this is so cute, and I don't want to just stick them on my controller. While I'm tentatively excited for the Mario Brothers movie, the fandom is absolutely knocking it out of the park with fan-made trailers and art. One fan animator, King Bob Gaming, made an entire recreation of the film trailer using the N64 graphics. This uses tile sets, textures, and character models from Super Mario 64 in its trailer. But they didn't just reuse the old models, they also incorporated things we see in the trailer like Peach's new gear, Rainbow Road, the Colosseum with Donkey Kong, and other castles. If you grew up playing Mario in the N64 era, this is sure to hit your nostalgia right in the heart. On the YouTube video, King Bob jokingly said in a comment that if the video got to 100k likes, they would reanimate the whole movie in this style. As of this recording, it's currently at 13,000 likes, so hit that like button. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button on this video too. The Super Mario Brothers movie is set to release April 7th, 2023, so mark your calendars and go check out that video if you want to see King Bob remake the entire movie, or at least most of it, in the N64 style. Remember that super fun, super wacky game I was telling you about a few episodes ago? Well, High on Life is now the most popular game on Game Pass. On the official Xbox website, you can see a list of the most popular games on its subscription service, and according to that list, High on Life passed Minecraft to hold the #1 spot. With the year Xbox has had with very little console exclusives, High on Life doing so well is a promising sign for the new year when most of the anticipated Xbox exclusives are set to launch, like Starfield. High on Life is a super fun, lighthearted game that I highly recommend. I'm about 3 hours in, and it's honestly such a fresh, different take on a story-driven FPS. It's a nice break from the gritty and serious stories, and the environments are so bright and vibrant. However, definitely don't play this game around kids. As cute as the design may look, it's definitely not a family-friendly game.
Holy sh! Looks like someone got trampled to death. Turned them into a fruit roll-up.
But that stark contrast between the cute art and vulgarity is honestly what makes the game so fun. If you have Game Pass, go try it out for yourself. In some surprising news, Gearbox and Hopoo Games announced Risk of Rain Returns, a remake of the original 2013 Risk of Rain game. This remake will be built from the ground up with new enhanced visuals and content made for release on PC and the Nintendo Switch in 2013. Risk of Rain Returns has an updated codebase, and the developers are implementing features and lessons they learned from creating Risk of Rain 2. Hopoo Games co-founder Duncan Drummond said, quote, "As we chart our future as developers, it was important to us that we look back on our early work. Risk of Rain Returns is a small token of our appreciation to this incredible community. We hope everyone is as excited about the future as we are." Risk of Rain Returns will have revamped multiplayer, new survivors and survivor abilities, items, and monsters. If you're a fan of the Risk of Rain series, keep an eye on this remake in 2023. Skill-based matchmaking has been a hot topic amongst FPS games and gamers recently, and Overwatch 2 is not exempt from the conversation. Blizzard released a blog post today on how the sequel's matchmaking system works. According to the blog post, the matchmaking rating, or MMR, rises over time if you win more games against players of your current MMR. And it isn't just competitive mode that uses MMR. Blizzard specified that it's all their game modes that look at MMR when forming a match. Now, your MMR will only be adjusted if you win or lose a game, or if you come back after not playing for a long time. It's important to note that your rank is not the same as your MMR, so at the beginning of a season when ranks get lowered, your MMR does not. Blizzard also explained they changed the importance of initial matches for new players so they could be put into their MMR faster. When a player wins more than 50% of their matches, their MMR increases faster and is deemed balanced when a player has a 50% win rate. I'm not quite sure I'm a fan of this implementation, but what do you think? It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going over the current state of the DC Extended Universe, plus in that very same vein, Henry Cavill has moved on to working with the Warhammer 40K Adaptation team. See you in a bit. Welcome back! Now that Henry Cavill is out as Superman in the wake of this DC Studios refresh, he's begun working with Amazon on the Warhammer 40K adaptation. But first, we have a bit more gaming news to cover regarding the Callisto protocol and finally being able to skip death scenes. Let's find out some more. While the gruesome death animations in the Callisto protocol were shown off as one of the coolest parts of the game, there's a new patch that allows you to skip the gnarly death animations. The Callisto protocol was basically the spiritual successor to Dead Space, but fell short in expectations with performance issues, especially on PC. This new patch streamlines the combat system, allows you to heal faster, which really makes a difference since in Callisto you have to kneel and wait a good amount of time to inject yourself, switch your weapons faster, and now even skip death animations. While the death animations are well done and gruesomely entertaining, some of the animations take way too long to finish and leave you feeling frustrated in waiting for it to be over so you can restart that segment. While I appreciate the skip button, it's interesting to see this implemented since Callisto's Season Pass includes 13 new Jacob death animations. This Season Pass is a $30 edition that does include story DLC, but it's an interesting call to skip animations when that was one of the points advertised in the Season Pass. One of the biggest developments this week was that Henry Cavill will not be returning as Superman, as James Gunn's plans for the DC Universe involve a younger Clark Kent. But it sounds like there's a happy ending after all. Cavill will be swapping the red cape for some blue power armor and is acting as executive producer for Amazon Studios' adaptation of the Warhammer 40K universe. Announced via the Warhammer community website this morning, Amazon Studios has secured the rights to adapt the universe of the popular tabletop game across a range of series and shows. There are no specific projects announced quite yet, but Henry Cavill is a huge and vocal Warhammer fan and told IGN last year that given the chance, he'd love to play a Primarch or Captain General if a 40K adaptation were to happen. Cavill is also a huge Witcher fan, and while the Netflix series had its issues, his performance as Geralt was definitely not one of them. So we're dying to see what happens when he brings his passion for Warhammer to the screen. For a quarter of a century, Ash Ketchum has been the most iconic non-Pokemon Pokemon character, and his journey to be a master has been chronicled over the course of more than 1,000 episodes of the anime. But in the upcoming series, Ash and Pikachu will be stepping out of the spotlight so two new protagonists can embark on their own quest to catch them all. The next series will star dual protagonists named Laiko and Roy, in the Japanese versions anyway, and will feature the latest generation starters Pokemon Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxly. It's unclear what role, if any, Ash and Pikachu will play moving forward, but they're getting a proper send-off leading to the finale of the current show, Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series. And some old friends are expected to show up, like Misty and Brock. The next series premieres sometime next year, so we'll keep you posted as we hear more. Finally, game designer Hideo Kojima has made no secret of his love of cinema, and the number of cutscenes in his games has had some critics wishing he'd just work on movies instead. And now, it looks like that might just happen. A Death Stranding feature film is in the works. Deadline reported yesterday that Hammerstone Studios, the company behind the recent horror film Barbarian, would be financing the production, which would be happening with direct involvement from Kojima Productions. No actual details about the film itself were given other than it would introduce new elements and characters within the Death Stranding universe. Currently, there's no one attached to star, but the first game was already a star-studded affair, featuring performances from Norman Reedus, Lea Seydoux, and Mads Mikkelsen, as well as CGI renditions of filmmakers Guillermo del Toro and Nicholas Winding Refn. Also, Conan O'Brien plays a hologram of a cosplayer. Look, it's a really weird game. Outside of the movie, the Death Stranding universe is already expanding in the form of a sequel, which was revealed during the Game Awards. Games typically take a lot longer to make than movies, so it'll be interesting to see which of these projects sees the light of day first.
Did you know we were going to get Superman and Wonder Woman cameos in the upcoming Flash movie? Yeah. Now, apparently, James Gunn and Peter Safran decided to cut the Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot roles to make way for the new direction, their new direction. Now, this all comes to us according to The Hollywood Reporter. Now, this move might not be too much of a surprise given Gunn's new direction, with the Superman character wanting to have a younger version on screen. Now, this marked the unceremonious departure of Henry Cavill in that role, and with director Patty Jenkins walking away from Wonder Woman 3, Gal's cameo was also cut from the film. Honestly, at this point, I think we all just want to see the Flash movie, which has been marred by the actor Ezra Miller's bad behavior over the years. But it seems as though things have settled and we'll finally get to see the Flash come June 16th of 2023. Swinging on over to Marvel news, Donald Glover will star in and produce an upcoming film about one of Spider-Man's lesser-known villains, Hypno Hustler. Yeah, now the Sony Marvel film is in the early phases of production with Eddie Murphy's son, Miles Murphy, attached to write. Now the villain appeared back in 1978 in Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 24. Now he hypnotizes his victims with his guitar and then he robs them. It's that simple. Anyways, hopefully Donald Glover and Miles Murphy will come up with something more compelling to say about the characters' motives and bring fans something special on the big screen. And finally, looking at the numbers of Avatar: The Way of Water, James Cameron's sequel drowned the competition by bringing in a global total of $441.6 million, according to Deadline. Now, estimates placed the film 78% ahead of its predecessor's offshore opening weekend and just 24% behind last year's holiday hit, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Now, the film is definitely in good standing going into the holidays, with those box office numbers sure to climb.
All the news about DC movies that's happening now will one day make an extremely entertaining movie itself. Pretty much the DCEU as we now know it is over. We have a new update from Dwayne Johnson in a social media post that in effect says, don't hold your breath for Black Adam 2 because they will not be continuing the thread Johnson and his team laid out in the foreseeable future. That thread being that Black Adam is the most badass ever and he could probably defeat Superman if he wanted to. But Black Adam's related/not related character Shazam seems okay for now, with star Zachary Levi reassuring a worried fan he will not be recast in the role with a tweet saying, "I'm Gucci. We all Gucci. In case you didn't know, that means good." Fans have worried about the state of their favorite DCEU properties and castings, with almost the entire current roster being phased out for a complete reset with both the Warner Brothers Discovery merger and the shakeup in leadership at DC Studios. And since that's all very confusing, let's go over the state of the DCEU here. As it stands, Man of Steel 2 will not be happening, with Henry Cavill leaving the cape behind for good, nor will Wonder Woman 3 be moving forward after WBD executives rejected Patty Jenkins and Jeff John's script. It's unclear if the character of Wonder Woman herself will be recast as well. Batman: The Caped Crusader animated series is being shopped around to other streamers off HBO Max, while the Greg Berlanti-produced Strange Adventure series is reportedly among those canceled at HBO Max. As we all know, the Leslie Grace-fronted Batgirl movie was axed for a tax cut, which is an extremely discouraging move for creatives and any future HBO Max creative projects. And Wonder Twins, which would have starred KJ Apa and Isabel May, was also axed for similar reasons. It seems Jason Momoa will return as Aquaman one last time in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, with Ben Affleck reportedly cameoing as Batman, but that will be it for Momoa as Aquaman as we all continue to ponder how perfect he is for Lobo. Even though it experienced many delays, Shazam! Fury of the Gods will release in March 2023, and it will probably not be changed or shelved for frustrating reasons. As for J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark Universe, it looks all but dead, along with anyone's dreams of a shared universe for characters like Constantine, Zatanna, Madam X, and more. There is no news on Abrams' other Superman projects, but it bodes poorly unless we hear something about them in the coming months. As for Green Lantern's future on HBO Max, it's quiet for now, but reportedly all involved are taking a cautious approach, as the series would be quite expensive. The Arrowverse is winding down with cancellations on cliffhangers for both Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman, and The Flash will end its final abbreviated season in 2023. And while Superman and Lois will get to live on with a third season, it will be fully severed from the Arrowverse as mandated by DC. On that note, Gotham Knights, which is not the same as the video game, is still ordered for season 1 on the CW. But who knows after that? Blue Beetle is seemingly the only property that's actually doing better post-merger, with the movie being not only not canceled, but moving from streaming to a theatrical release. As for the chronically maligned Ezra Miller-fronted Flash movie, there is actually no indication it won't be moving forward, but the very expensive film may see some more delays or changes following the reported cuts of cameos from Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot. It's a weird time to be a DCEU fan, but we'll update you as more of this cluster fun unfolds. Swinging on over to Marvel news, Logan star Hugh Jackman confirmed his appearance in Deadpool 3 will not undo the gravity of 2017's Logan thanks to the usage of time travel.
All because of this device they have in the Marvel world of moving around timelines. Now we can go back because, it's science. And and so I don't have to screw with the Logan timeline, which was important to me and I think probably to the fans too.
You may remember Logan's very final seeming ending, and it sounds like the more tongue-in-cheek Deadpool series will not undo everything Jackman and director James Mangold were hoping to achieve with the film. Deadpool 3 is set to hit theaters November 2024. And last but probably least, the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will reveal what happened to everyone's least favorite character, Mutt, as last portrayed by Shia LaBeouf in 2008's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Director James Mangold, who yes, did pop up in the last story too, told Entertainment Weekly that fans will, quote, find out what happened to him, but gave no details or indication he would appear in the film. However, we here at the Entertainment Fix have an exclusive scoop as to Mutt's fate.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your Weekly Fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.